Chapter 1 Family and Dream. I was born in 1632 in the city of York, in the north of England. My father was German, but he came to live in the city of Hull, in England, where he did well in his business and got rich. Then he moved to York, and there he married my mother, whose family name was Robinson. Her family was well known in that area, and so, when I was born, they gave me Robinson as my name. I had 2 elder brothers. The eldest died in a war, and I don't know where the second one is. My father wanted me to get a good education and sent me to a good school. He hoped that I would become a lawyer and live a quiet, comfortable life. But I did not like that. I wanted to go to sea, to have an adventure. My parents were very worried about my idea, and my father tried everything to stop me. He said, "Don't be childish. Sailors' lives are difficult and dangerous. Only poor people, or people who want to make quick money, go to sea." My old father cried and begged me, "Please don't go, my son." Your eldest brother did not listen to me and went to the army. He lost his life. I don't want you to die on the sea. I loved my father very much. I promised that I would not go to sea. But only a few days later, I forgot all about my promise. I asked my parents again and again to allow me to go to sea, but they never agreed. About a year later, I went to the coastal city of Hull. At first, I did not have the idea of going to sea without getting my parents' permission. There, I met a friend whose father had a ship. He said that they would sail for London, and he encouraged me to go with them. "You don't have to pay. Why don't you go?" he said to me. That is just the way sailors persuade people to go to sea for the first time. And so, on September 1st, 1651, I got on board the ship for London without telling my parents. Soon there was a strong wind. The waves were as high as hills. The ship went up on top of a wave and then went down to the bottom. It seemed that it would go bottom up or be broken into pieces any moment. I felt very ill and very afraid. I remembered all my father had said to me. I determined to give up the idea of being a sailor and never go to sea again. The next day, the wind dropped, and the sea was no longer rough and dangerous. I did not feel sick anymore. Late in the afternoon, the wind stopped completely. The sea was very quiet and very beautiful in the setting sun. I slept very well that night. The next morning, I saw a more beautiful sea in the rising sun. The friend who had encouraged me to go to sea was afraid that I would give up. He came over to see me. "Well, Bob," he clapped my shoulder and said, "how do you do after the little wind?" "What?" I cried. "It was a terrible storm." "You call that a storm?" "Oh, that was nothing at all," he laughed. "Let's have a drink, and forget it. But several days later, we really met a terrible storm, which lasted for several days. Finally, the ship sank in the sea, and we got to the coast in a small boat.